Hey guys, this is just one of the Jataka tales illustrated. I like this story because the monkey king, who's an animal, ends up teaching the human king kind of how to behave. And yeah, I like this one. But I'd say, yeah, if you have any clarification questions, head down to the lads at the Buddhist Centre. So yeah, here's just a crayon on paper example. Hope you enjoy.
Once upon a time in Varanasi, when the Brahmadatta was king, the Bodhisattva took rebirth in the womb of a monkey, and when he reached maturity was of good height and breadth, and had stamina and vigour, he lived in the Himalayan regions with a retinue of 80,000 monkeys. There, upon the banks of the Ganga, there was a mango tree, though some say it was a fig tree, which had branches and forks, gave a deep shade, had thick leaves, and had grown up like a mountain peak. Its sweet fruits, which had a heavenly smell and flavour, were as big as water jars. From one branch the fruits fell to the ground, from another into the water of the Ganga, and from two branches fruits fell into the middle, to the roots of the tree. The Bodhisattva took the troop of monkeys there to eat the fruits, and thought, "At some time danger will come to us, because the fruit is falling into the water." So at blossom time he got them to eat the flowers or nip them in the bud, so that not one fruit, even the size of a chickpea, would be left remaining from the branch over the water. Despite this, one ripe fruit, hidden by an ant's nest, did fall into the water, unseen by the 80,000 monkeys. The king of Varanasi, who was amusing himself playing in the water, had nets put upstream and downstream. The fruit stuck fast to the upstream net. When the king had enjoyed a day of play and it was time to go in the evening, the fishermen drew in the net, saw the fruit, and, not recognizing it, showed it to the king. The king asked, "What is this fruit?" "We do not know, sire." "Who will know?" "The foresters, sire," they said. He had the foresters summoned, and hearing from them that it was a mango, he cut it with a knife and had the foresters eat it first, and he ate it afterwards and gave some to his ladies and to his ministers. The taste of the ripe fruit remained, suffusing his entire body. Captivated by a desire for this taste, he asked the foresters the location of the tree, and they told him that it was on the banks of the river in the Himalayan region. He had a quantity of boats strung up to one another and sailed upstream on the route exclaimed by the foresters. The exact number of days it took had not been related, but in due course he reached the palace, and the forester said, "Sire, this is the tree." The king stopped, and the boats and a crowd of followers went on foot. He had a couch arranged at the roots of the tree, ate the ripe fruit, and after enjoying the various excellent flavours, went to sleep. They put a guard in each direction and lit a fire. When they had fallen asleep, the great being arrived in the middle of the night with his troop. 80,000 monkeys moved from branch to branch and ate the mangoes. The king woke up, and seeing the tribe of monkeys, roused his men and had them call the archers. "Surround these fruit-eating monkeys so that they do not escape, and kill them. Tomorrow we'll eat monkey flesh as well as mangoes." The archers obeyed, surrounded the tree, and stood with the arrows ready. The monkeys saw them, and terrified with the fear of death, as they could not escape, went up to the great being. "Sire, archers stand surrounding this tree, saying they're going to kill the monkeys who are running away. What are we going to do?" And they stood shaking. The Bodhisattva said, "Do not be afraid, I'll save your lives." Reassuring the tribe of monkeys, he got up into a high branch that was growing straight from there, went along a branch that stretched towards the Ganga. From the tip of the branch he left a distance of 100 bows' length and landed on a bush on the bank of the river. "This will be the spot that is as far as I have reached," he said, and marked out a space. Then he cut a single cane creeper at the root, stripped it, and said, "This end will be bound to the root and will go into the air." He decided upon two places and did not take into account the attachment to his own waist. Then he took that creeper and tied one end to the fixed tree on the riverbank and the other end to his own waist, and with the speed of a thundercloud ripped by the wind, jumped 100 bows' length to the spot. Because he had not reckoned on the bit that was bound to his waist, he could not reach the tree and grabbed tight onto a mango branch with both hands. Then he gave a sign to the tribe of monkeys. "Quickly, get to safety by treading on my back and climbing down the cane creeper." The 80,000 monkeys paid homage to the great being, and asking his forgiveness went there. Now Devadatta, who was a monkey and among their number, thought, "This really is my chance to see the back of my enemy." Climbing to a higher branch, he stirred up his resolution and jumped onto the monkey king's back. Ugh! The great being's heart broke and a terrible pain arose in him. But Devadatta, who had caused such terrible pain, got away. The great being was alone. The king, who was not asleep, had seen everything. And with the monkeys and the great being, he thought, "This animal has not given any reckoning to his own life, and has brought the troops to safety," and lay down. At daybreak, as he was very pleased with the great being, he thought, "It is not just right that this monkey king should be killed. I'll bring him down by some means and look after him." He had the boat steered down the Ganga and had a temporary platform tied to it, then gently brought the great being down. He had him clothed with a yellow robe, had him washed with Ganga water, and induced him to drink sugared water. He had his body cleaned and anointed with oil that had been refined 1,000 times. Then he put an oiled hide on the couch and laid the great being down there, while he, the king, sat on a low seat and spoke the first verse. You have made yourself a bridge so that anyone can pass to safety. What are you to them, and they to you, great monkey? When he heard this, the Bodhisattva gave advice to the king and spoke the remaining verses. I, O king, have been a lord and chief to them. When they were grief-stricken and fearful because of you, victorious one, I leapt 100 bows' length when I had bound the creeper firmly to my hind legs. As if thrust by a thundercloud, torn by the wind, I reached the tree. But I, coming short of it, held on to a branch by the fingertips. And while I was stretched out by the creeper and the branch living animals went to safety, walking along together on foot. Bondage does not torment me, death will not torment me. I have brought happiness to those whom I have ruled. Take these examples as illustrations, O king. For a king there is the kingdom, the vehicles, the army, and the city. The wise warrior seeks for the happiness of all these. In this way the great being gave advice to the king, instructed him and died. The king had his ministers summoned. Perform honours to the body of the monkey king as if he were a king. And he told his ladies, go to the funeral ground in red clothes and dishevelled hair, with torches in your hands, and make a retinue for the monkey king. The ministers made a funeral pyre with 100 wagons load of wood. When everything had been done for the great being, according to royal custom, they took his skull and brought it to the king. The king had a shrine built at his funeral ground, lights lit there, and made offerings of incense and garlands of flowers. He had the skull adorned with gold and placed it in front of the tip of a spear. Honouring it with incense and garlands, he went to the Varanasi and had it put at the palace gate. He had the city decorated and paid homage to the skull for 7 days. Then, taking it as a relic, he had a shrine built and he honoured it with incense and garlands for the rest of his life. Established in the Bodhisattva's teaching, he was generous and performed auspicious actions, ruling the kingdom in accordance with the Dhamma, so that he'd get his next birth in a heaven realm. The teacher gave this talk, revealed the truths, and made the connections with the birth. At that time, Ananda was the king, the Buddha's followers were the troop of monkeys, and I was the monkey king.